Hello, everybody. This is Octavia. I'm really happy to be here with you to share some neuroscience tips about relationships today. So I'm going to, sorry, my screen is just getting a little crazy with stuff. I'm going to share my screen and show the presentation that we're going to be going over today. And I am, wow, that's weird. It's only allowing me to share my whole screen. Okay, and that's unusual. Okay, we'll just make sure that my screen is not as chaotic as it would probably be looking. Okay, so we're going to be doing an hour of networking today. And since it's just me so far, I hope other people will join me. Come on in if you're watching this live. And I am looking forward to spending time with you today. And I'm going to be watching my chat here. So if you're here in the chat, just feel free to chat away and let me know where you're coming in from. And we'll get started really soon. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen with neuroscience, networking, dream relationship. That's what we're here to do today. A little bit of logistics. This is going to be playful. In today's goals, we're going to expand your network and meet some other people. Hopefully some other people will join in here. And we're going to have tips to improve your relationships, experience the benefits of modern and ancient neuroscience, and get an instant confidence booster. And at the end of this, with all the socializing that is intended to happen here, I'm assuming that people are live in some of the different platforms, and actually what we need to do is all be together in the Zoom in order for this to be interactive. So I'm probably going to be just doing some teaching and training because I didn't have not seeing anyone live in Zoom right now. So these are the goals for today. And I'll just do a quick introduction. I am Octavia Brooks. I'm an intuitive relationship strategist for ambitious entrepreneurs, and I help people with the intersection of relationships and business, how business is impacted by relationships, how relationships can improve our business success or take away from it. That's the area that I like to play in. So I find myself helping people. Who are deciding whether they should stay in a relationship or balancing their business and their relationship. That's another a good thing, or potentially their own relationship with their business. So sometimes we have kind of a toxic, our business has replicated some kind of toxic pattern that we have. It's just like a toxic girlfriend or boyfriend, but now it's your business. Oh, I hate it when that happens. So the reason I have qualifications in these areas is I've been in business for over 20 years. I've been on my spiritual and personal development path for over 30 years, including studying ancient neuroscience and tribal practices that modern business people don't know how amazing these techniques are for business success and productivity. And then I added more recently to my toolkit a neuroscience training and coaching certification from Optimind Institute. Shantae Javon Taylor, an amazing teacher who likes to make sure that coaches and presenters have the information they need to explain how the brain works to people, because we're carrying it around with us everywhere. So you can explain how the brain works so you can become more productive, pretty much, or a little more effective in every aspect of your life. So in today's flow, and this is a 1-hour networking event that I do every Tuesday. So I alternate between the relationship emphasis on the topic and the business success and accelerated income part of the topic. And so I'm breaking those up, and I know that these are going to get more popular and more people will come and meet each other at these events. So what we're going to be talking about today is my sweet spot intersection with relationships and business. And we're going to talk about what a positive relationship does for your business and contrast that with what a toxic relationship will take away from your business and your focus. And we're going to talk about how to identify if you're in a toxic relationship. It's kind of like my public education I like to do. And also, if you are wanting to leave a relationship and that relationship is impactful to your business, how can you leave the relationship with your business intact? I think that's really important. We're positioned to have like a double whammy. If we lose a relationship, we could potentially lose out on our business at the same time. So how do you manage that really tough spot of life? And then I also want to teach people about removing, this is going to be some ancient neuroscience of removing self-limitations and increasing your confidence. So I love sharing some techniques around that. Okay, so the first topic I want to go in here is just how positive, healthy, happy relationships are on our business success. What's happening there is, and I'm going to stop the share, I'll bring it back. What's happening when we're having a happy, healthy relationship is we're getting a lot of really good, effective, productive neurotransmitters flowing. And that means that like we have dopamine, we have oxytocin, we're generally in a good mood. We feel physically healthy and well. And depending on what happens in the bedroom at night, generally we can be pretty well rested, but we have that support at home. And what happens when we say goodbye to our sweetie in the morning, especially if we give them a kiss goodbye and we get started on our business day, we have all of those really happy chemicals flowing in our minds. So anytime we have happy chemicals flowing in our minds, we're staying right here in the prefrontal cortex part of our brain. The prefrontal cortex part of our brain is the more modern part of our brain, and it has access to all of our creativity, all of our innovation. It's really, really important for productivity, for focus, for problem solving. And it's when we have access to all of our resources and we're on fire, we're operating from the mastermind of our brain. Comparing that to if we're in a rocky relationship or anytime we have worries going on at home, outside of the workplace, worries and stress, actually, no matter where they come from, they could be health, it could be business, it could be relationship. Whenever we have worries and stress, we are not going to be operating from the most effective part of our brain. We're going to be operating from the amygdala, the older part of our brain that's more connected with our survival instincts. And when we're only accessing that part of our brain and we're stuck in some flavor of survival instincts, we're really only going to be able to, we're just going to be short-sighted. We're not going to make the best decisions. We may find ourselves constantly distracted by those worries and stresses that I just mentioned, and we're not going to be able to access our creativity. In other words, when you go to sit down and do your work in any of these heavier emotions, and if we're solopreneurs, this can happen regularly if we're working at home alone a lot. I know we're starting to maybe come out of the pandemic, hopefully, but a lot of us are still working remotely. That we got accustomed to that. That's kind of the laptop warrior lifestyle. It's very solo in a lot of regards. And because of that, we may have some lower, heavier kinds of moods. So any of those flavor of emotional states will keep us in this brain. And that means when we go to start doing our work, it just takes forever. We got to write a blog post. If we're in a really good mood, we whip that thing out in 15, 20 minutes. If we're not in a very good mood, it can take an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that just slides your day so that instead of whipping through your work over the course of your day, you are stuck in a slow-mo, which then just kind of like makes your day longer, and you're not as satisfied at the end of the day, and you're more tired. You don't have energy and time for your sweetie at home if you have these worries going on, and it can push into your evening, which can then affect your sleep cycle. Now your brain's not getting enough sleep. Now you also don't have the good neurochemicals, and it can really slow you down in your productivity and get you into just kind of a state of where you're feeling like you're just grinding through your work. So I like to teach people about that. So the worst thing that can happen is if you're in a toxic relationship where instead of feeling supported, instead of feeling loved and cared for, respected and appreciated in your relationship, that's all in question. And I'm going to go into some of the flavors of how to identify a toxic relationship and whether you might be in one, because it's really, really important to notice that. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who come from really challenging childhoods and backgrounds. And actually, even those of us who feel like we came from a good, strong background, we may also still find ourselves repeating patterns that we didn't even know, some negative belief systems and things we didn't realize when, until we realize I can't achieve something, I can't seem to figure this out. So we need to know if we're in a toxic relationship and get ourselves into an exit strategy of that toxic relationship. So just briefly, if anyone wants to put something in the chat, what would you say are some of the ways that you can identify being in a toxic relationship? So we've got one chat here saying, yeah, that could be a type of, you're getting bombarded with, you're getting bombarded with confusion. You can't, your partner doesn't seem to be consistent. They say one thing, they do another thing. They say one thing one day, a week later, they say something different. You have a conversation to work something out. They say, yes, 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 I'll do it this way. Then they really make no real effort to change or improve. They're not really, they want to do the relationship their way. They aren't very invested in making the relationship better. These are just a few of the ways that relationships can be toxic. Okay, so mixed messages, broken promises, and I'll share my screen again. Mixed messages, broken promises, lack of respect. They may embarrass you in front of other people. These are all signs that the relationship's probably not going to get better. Man, they always start out so good and so exciting in the beginning. When we're really connected to that person, we feel that flare of attraction. And I know one dating coach who recommends that we don't get involved with people when our sexual attraction is at that maximum, because it does stuff in our brain. It kind of makes us crazy when we're falling in love. We are in such a flood of neurochemicals and neurotransmitters that it's really dopifying. Like, we really do get dopey. So she recommends that we actually get involved with people where the attraction level might be 6, 7, 8 at the maximum, because that allows us to be ourselves with that person. And it keeps our brain online where we can detect weird behaviors. We can actually see that coming right in front. Instead of making excuses for the cute guy, we can actually notice that the cute guy treats the waiter really bad. And why would he do that? Why would he be that kind of person who's not polite? Well, probably because he's not a very respectful person. He's not going to respect you. And this can happen, either gender, right? Why isn't she treating the waiter? Why is she being so picky about her meal? Is she being so picky because she has a lot of food sensitivities like I do? Or is she being picky because she just isn't a person that can be pleased? These are the early warning signs before you get into relationship. Now I'm talking about romantic relationships. I always, in business relationships, because I want to dip my toe into that too, you want to do some kind of easy project, want to dip your toe into that relationship. Don't go into some really big, collaboration with a new person. You want to start with some small collaborations, like let's see how they do with just one live event, co-hosting one live event together. For example, if they do what they say they're going to do, they're reliable, they show up on time, and there's no issues with their presence in the collaboration, it's been very 50-50, or both people are giving more than 50%, maybe even both people are very committed, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. But if you see that person, just be really cautious about making any kind of excuses in your mind about the behavior of that person. Oh, they're so busy, and this can happen when we feel like there's a hierarchy, they're more popular than me, that kind of thing. It's really important to get the roles and the expectations really clear right up front whenever you're working with somebody new in business. Okay, so let's say that you find yourself in a relationship that you need to end and you need to move on from this relationship. So I want to talk about protecting your assets. And this is happening. So perhaps with the advice of somebody who can see a little bit more clearly, one of my skills is to be able to look intuitively at the energy flows, the energy connections that are happening in a relationship. And I can do this on the business side or in the personal side. I can evaluate whether that new business partner that you're considering, like what their strengths and weaknesses might be. And in your personal relationship, I can immediately detect whether that person is trying to take energy from you, trying to make you smaller. I mean, this is another sign of a toxic relationship. It's not supportive. They don't build up your confidence. They're not your cheerleading team. They give you feedback that's really unhelpful, that takes you down, that makes you question yourself instead of feeling confident. And they might do this at really inconvenient times, like right before a big presentation or right before a big sales call. That's the sign of a toxic relationship. They don't want you to succeed. So let's say you've identified that you're in a toxic relationship, or you're in a relationship that's just played itself out and you aren't getting anything else out of this relationship. You've identified that there's incompatibilities. Okay. So ideally, you would see that before lots of arguments are flaring up, or you can identify, we're just really having a lot of conflict. We can't seem to figure out how to get along anymore. So that's a good time to just take a step back and try to do everything you can to diffuse the tension in the relationship. And where I'm going with this is anything you can do to diffuse the tension in the relationship, you'll be able to protect. You're going to be in a better negotiating position to protect your assets. And so that's the ball that I want you to keep your eye on. If you're leaving a relationship and there has been, let's just say they haven't been involved in your relationship, but you're married and the business is considered, I'm sorry, in the scenario where your relationship isn't part of your business, if you're married, that business is still considered an asset. So you're still wanting to protect that asset. Let's say they have become involved in your business and you want to remove them out of your business. You have to finesse this situation, because the worst thing you want is to lose the business and the relationship at the same time. Because as I said at the beginning, if you've got that level of stress and worry, conducting the affairs of your business in an effective, productive way is going to be nearly impossible, because you're going to be in the wrong part of your brain. I can coach you through those moments and give you some tips and strategies for getting back up here into your prefrontal cortex. And we're going to do one of those a little bit later. But I want you to see the writing on the wall before things get really messy. That's the most important thing. And so, this might fall into kind of a cold calculating approach to leaving your relationship. But whenever you have a relationship that needs to end, cold calculating is a valid approach. I mean, maybe a little bit less on the cold side, but you have to understand the person you're dealing with and basically know how to finesse them into more positive feelings towards you. So if that means that you're being accused of something, whether you did it or not, it's time for you to act like you care that you did something wrong, act like you're going to act like you want to make amends, act like you want to make things better. And so you're keeping the eye on the ball of leaving this relationship with your assets intact. And I know this is really hard to hear. What I know about business owners who came from those difficult backgrounds is that we tend to repeat negative patterns a lot of times in our relationships. This is another reason for not going crazy hog wild in the beginning of a relationship, keeping it going a little bit slower, getting to know that person over a period of months before all of the sexual chemistry comes to fruition and all of those crazy hormones come to fruition. This gives you a chance to really know who you're dealing with before you let yourself fall in love. Because once you get all of those neurochemicals going, it's a very slippery slope. You're going to be in that relationship from that point forward. So I recommend you get to know the person. So if you find yourself in the breakup, phase or thinking about it, if you're, catch this as early as you can when you're just thinking about the relationship and begin to take step by steps, very judiciously with a lot of discernment on how you can manage that relationship in the most positive way possible so that they aren't interested in taking your business assets. So anyway, that is a long conversation that's better done one-on-one because it's very personal, it's very case by case, but there is a way to protect your assets. And I don't want to see you get stuck in that situation where you are losing both the relationship and your assets at the same time. All right, so we're going to go on. We're going to go, I did skip some of my material, but I'm going to go on anyway. So we're going to go on to confidence and how to resolve some of your self-limitations. I really love this topic because what do we need more of all the time when we're in business? We always need more confidence. We're always conquering the next level. We're always speaking to a larger group of people. We're always networking with somebody that is like a wow person, but we want to come across as confident. In relationship, we really want to be the confident person because confident people are attracted to confident people. Then you get a relationship of two confident, capable people together, and like you can make turn the world on fire. When you have a really great relationship like that, you can accomplish so much. So confidence, it just is like the staff of life. I make a joke about that. One of the meditations I teach my clients, and I teach this meditation very specifically to increase confidence. The staff of life, I talk about it as the column of light, but it's a very strong form of energy down your spine so that whenever you're speaking with somebody, like I have it running right now, whenever you're speaking, they perceive you as having more confidence. So we're going to do a really brief exercise here. And anyone who's watching the replay, I want you to say your elevator pitch before this exercise and after this exercise. So first you're going to say your elevator pitch, and I'll kick it off. The format I like to use is, I am helping business owners who have reversed their toxic relationships so that they can make more money and sleep like a baby. So it's who I'm serving. And I do that with modern and ancient neuroscience. Oh my goodness. So I didn't do a great job, and I'm going to do my exercise and go for it again. But the parts of an elevator pitch that you can say in, what is that, 10 seconds, gives people that alignment. They know whether they align with you. They know whether they identify with you. So anybody watching this will know whether they should work with me or not. Are you a business owner with a toxic relationship or some kind of relationship question? Maybe I should even change it to relationship question, reverse relationship questions with ancient and modern neuroscience, so you can sleep like a baby and make more money. All right, so here's the exercise that this comes from ancient neuroscience, which for me is a tribal practice, which involves energy work. Now, a lot of people poo-poo or question energy work, but now with the kind of information coming out from quantum physics, the writings on the wall, we're really only about 2% matter, actual matter, and about 90%, 98% energy. Yeah, math is not my forte. 98% energy. So anything we do with energy, if we educate ourselves about energy, it is really literally going to impact our business success. It's going to impact all areas of our life. So here's the first thing I want to share with you. This is called grounding. And some of you who have done meditation before, or maybe even yoga, this is a super common spiritual concept. It's usually relegated to spiritual dimensions, but I teach it in business because I've seen it. I've seen the effects of it. It's really, really powerful. So what I want you to do is close your eyes, take a deep breath. Get oxygen flowing in your body. Taking a deep breath tells your body that you're safe and secure. You don't have to feel stressed about anything. And it can help move you from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, just taking a deep breath. So taking a deep breath and then paying attention to the base of your spine. Taking a moment and paying attention to the base of your spine. And now imagine that an extension of your body can start growing down out of the base of your spine. So you may visualize this. Some people see it as like a tail or a tree root, maybe a beam of light of a certain color, texture. Some people just feel it. Some people just know it. But imagine now that an extension of your body grows down beneath the building, underneath the building, beneath you, through your chair, through the floors underneath you. And now it's touching the earth. And this part of your body is going into the earth. And now it's going deeper and deeper into the earth. It might be passing rocks and boulders and underground waterways, caves, you name it. And it's getting closer and closer to the center of the earth. As it gets closer to the center of the earth, it feels this warmth. And now your extension of your body, which you can also call your grounding cord, is connecting directly into the center of the earth. You can think of this as the heartbeat of the earth. You can think of it as connecting with Mother Earth. And if you ever have any trouble with this exercise, you can just ask Mother Earth, please connect with me. Sometimes we've been stressed for such a long time that this connection with the earth can be really a little challenging. But she is there to make that handshake. And now that you're connected and grounded to the center of the earth, come back up here, open your eyes, and now say your elevator pitch. I'm Octavia Brooks. I'm an intuitive relationship strategist for ambitious entrepreneurs with relationship questions, helping them reverse their relationship questions so they can get back in their business better than they were before, make more money, and sleep like a baby. And I do that with ancient and modern neuroscience. So you may have noticed that the tone of my voice changed. I spoke with more authority. So just doing this very quick exercise before you go into a networking meeting, before you have a big sales call, before you're giving a public speech, any of these kinds of scenarios, people will be more receptive to your message. They'll perceive you more as an authority. They will pay more attention to what you're saying. They're going to see and feel your presence, your authority. And that's what people want. They want to follow somebody who's got authority. Okay, so now what I want to do is talk a little bit more about ancient neuroscience since we're on that topic. Another huge benefit of ancient neuroscience is to get you how to get back here in your prefrontal cortex. So I mentioned at the top of the presentation, this is where you want to stay if you want to be productive, if you want to be effective in your work, if you want to really get a lot done and you want to access creative flow states. What you're going to be doing is spending more time here. Okay. One of the great ways of doing that is through a type of meditation. You can use mindfulness meditation if you're familiar with that. So this is an ancient neuroscience version of that concept of mindfulness. Before I do the meditation, though, I want to tell you some other components of this meditation that make it unique to ancient neuroscience. I want you to think for a second of a question that you want to get answered. So this can be a question about a relationship. It can be a question about anything, your health, something in your business. Just think for a minute about a kind of a question that you'd like to get answered, whatever that is. And we're going to take that with us into this meditation, and I'll tell you what to do with it when it comes time. And then I'm going to do a debrief. After we do this meditation, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to write down a couple of notes on what thoughts, sensations, what your experience was with that meditation. And then I'm going to kind of do a debrief on why I've been doing meditations, guiding meditations like this a lot longer than I knew about modern neuroscience. Once I learned about modern neuroscience, I understood why these types of little mini meditations, this is just going to be like a 3-minute visualization, why these are so impactful for the brain, why they do so much. So I look forward to debriefing that with you after we do this. Okay, so you've got your question. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to do that deep breath in. Close your eyes. Take that really good deep breath in your belly. Yeah, tell your body you're super calm. Okay, you're safe. Now I want you to visualize. I want you to use your imagination and imagine that you're in a beautiful forest. And you're surrounded by trees. Notice that there's trees behind you, in front of you, all around you. And I want you to really pay attention to the sensations that you're experiencing in this forest. What are the sounds that you're hearing? Do you hear any birds? Do you hear any squirrels chittering? Any insects? What is the air temperature in this forest? Is there moisture in the air? Notice the air on your skin. And notice whether you can actually even Imagine the smell of the trees. If they're pine trees, do you smell the pine trees? If they are flowering trees, do you smell the flowers? What are the smells that you can perceive in this forest? I want you to go into a 360-degree imagination of this forest all the way around you. And part of this experience could be that the sun is shining. So imagine now that the sun is shining above you. You can look up and see the sun. You can feel the warmth of the sun. And now I'd like you to take that question that you had before. Take that question, and I want you to delegate the answer to that question to the sun. So take the next moment and just toss your question up to the sun. Know that the sun has received that question and hand off the answer to that question. It is no longer your problem. It's no longer your job to figure out the answer to that question. The sun is going to take care of that for you. And go back into the visualization, the imagination of being seated in this forest, being comfortable. Maybe you're walking through the forest, smelling, hearing, feeling, perceiving the forest all the way around you. And now that you can feel the sunlight and the rays of the sun coming back to you, and you may even see the rays of the sun coming through the branches and the leaves of the trees. And you receive these rays from the sun's rays, the warmth. And as the sun shines on you, the answer to your question begins to come in. So take a moment and receive the warmth of the sun. And this answer, know the answer is coming without having any question about when it might come. Is it going to come right now? Is it going to come later? Don't worry about any of that. Just know that you're receiving the answer from the sun to your question. It's coming in on the rays that are shining down on you. And so just receive. And you may get words, you may get understandings, you may get some insight, and you may not receive any of those things right now. You may receive them later on. Maybe when you go to sleep tonight, and maybe when you wake up in the morning, you'll have the answer. Just know that the answer is on its way. And now give thanks to the forest, give thanks to this experience, and begin to come back out of the meditation and take a couple notes right now on anything that you noticed about this little visualization. I'm going to give you just a minute to take a couple bullet point notes. You might want to take a sip of water too while we're on this little break. Very good. So you're welcome to put anything in the chat box that you would like. What your experience was of that meditation. Okay. All right, we'll come all the way back now. And when I've done this before live, it's really fun hearing people's experiences. Some people find that they were really there in that forest. So let me break down for you all the different neuroscience things we did right there. Everything about that little visualization, something you might want to do at a later time, because you're now much more centered here in your prefrontal cortex. I promise to leave you with energy and focus at the end of this event, and this is one of the ways I'm doing that. You are now in your creative part of your brain because you paid attention to your sensory input. So that's part of mindfulness meditation. What are you smelling? What are you even tasting in your mouth right now? What is your current state? Noticing how your body feels. All of that is part of mindfulness meditation and activates all different parts of your brain. So that's part of what we did. That's a little bit on the modern neuroscience side. And on the ancient neuroscience side, what we did is we assigned the answer to your question to your subconscious. Your subconscious has so many more answers than your conscious mind ever could come up with. Have you ever had one of those inspirations that comes out of the blue? Well, some people say if you're a real spiritual person, you might say that that's divine inspiration. If you're not so much of a spiritual person, your subconscious, and I believe that they're connected personally, that's my personal belief system, but your subconscious is also giving you that inspiration. So you delegated and handed off to your subconscious or to the divine the answer to your question. And now the answer is starting to come back in. It might not come back in the next 5 minutes necessarily, but your subconscious is working on that. And the divine heard it. So you can expect to get some more insights into your situation. All right. So those are the few more things that we did. So I'm going to just talk a little teeny bit more, share my screen again, on the couple other benefits of ancient neuroscience, because it's such a strange concept for people. With ancient neuroscience, you can improve your confidence and your capability and your clarity. The way I do that is with these indigenous techniques. I go back and find out, like, well, where did you stop being clear? Where did you go out of focus? And this sometimes goes back into those childhood negative patterns, things that we experience at very early ages. We do not recall them, but our subconscious has them in there. So we have blind spots. And I'll give a really good personal example. I used to hate social media marketing, used to really bug me all the time. But you know, when you're in business, you have to market. So I recognized I had a limitation, this kind of resistance. Anytime we have resistance, we just don't want to do it, or we can't seem to do it. We can't take our business coach advice. Any of those kinds of situations are pointing to something in the subconscious that's actively blocking us from being more effective. So you want to go back and resolve that. So ancient neuroscience, with my intuitive insight, I go back in and I basically revise history, kind of similar to the way neurolinguistic programming works, a little similar to the way hypnosis works. We go back in and we revise history back at that early time when you got blocked in that way, and you come back into present time and the block is a lot better. And then normally I come in and work with clients with neuroscience strategies that makes that opening, that neuroplasticity, that opening, that or opportunity to do things differently, and makes those permanent. So you can always overcome fears and resistance and become more creative and focused with ancient neuroscience as well. So now let me just go over what we covered today. We talked about how your relationship impacts your business. Happy relationship, happy productivity in your business, effective, ending your day on time, having time for that wonderful relationship. You have worries going on, especially if you have a toxic relationship. You're going to be spending more time in the amygdala. You're going to be spending more time in the grind. You're not going to be having very much fun in your business, being productive, effective, getting your goals. All of that is going to be so much more challenging. You're going to be wondering if it's ever even worth it. And especially if you're in a toxic relationship or deciding whether you want to come or go, you're going to be, you want to protect your assets. You want to take early stage protective maneuvers to protect your assets so you're not losing your business and your relationship at the same time. We didn't do the exercise of diffusing the most common argument, but that is about the modern neuroscience has taught us that our masculine brain and our feminine brain, the male-female brains have big differences, especially in the realm of processing emotions. And it's just classic how that creates arguments. The woman doesn't feel heard. She is still processing her emotions. The man has processed his emotions and he is ready to act. And there's just a huge clash there with misunderstandings. So we also talked about removing self-limitations, such as getting an answer. Why, what does it take for me to be more effective in my social media marketing? Oh, well, the sun knows, my subconscious knows. I'm going to get that answer coming in. And how you can increase your confidence just by putting your grounding cord down. I teach about the column of light, bringing energy along your spine. And we did that mindfulness, that little visualization that helps open up all of your creativity and your focus so you can get into a flow state no matter what's going on at home. Go to the forest, pay attention to all the sensations there, and you'll come back more productive and energized, and hopefully get your work done on time, better quality work done on time. So the next thing I'd like to do, I'd really like to ask you to complete a survey for me, and I'll post a survey link for anyone who is able to attend today. Let me know how you like this. Let me know how you like this. And then I really love to meet people in person. So please book a 30-minute networking meeting with me. I'm going to put that in the chat. And I'm also going to put the feedback link in the chat. And anybody who completes the feedback survey gets a PDF of peak mental performance tips. That's been very, very popular. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and complete that survey. The link is in the text box for you. And I look forward to meeting you in person, one-on-one, and giving you some customized neuroscience techniques just for you. I really appreciate you being here today. This has been Octavia. I'm intuitive relationship strategist for ambitious entrepreneurs, helping you solve relationship questions and become more successful and more productive in your business. It's been a treat to be with you today. Have a wonderful